Ciao a tutti, benvenuti, welcome back to Tactics Imperivm, your home for the deep tactical breakdowns of Serie A football. As always, I am your host, Gianluca Lia, and as always, I always remind you, do not forget to follow Serie A Spotlight on all platforms. Your support, the likes, the comments, the subscriptions means the world to our community. And now, let's dive into a fascinating tactical story from last weekend. This match had Team A with 37% possession and Team B with a 63% possession. And now I pose this question: who do you think won the match? Exactly, the team with just 37%. And this is a timely reminder of why statistics in football always need context. Because numbers without the bigger picture do not tell the full story. And obviously we are speaking about Allegri's masterclass and Roma's missed chance, with Milan beating Roma 1-0 at San Siro. Let's start with Milan. Allegri's Milan. The control without the ball. So, let's start from the end. At the final whistle, I would love to think that Max Allegri looked up to the sky. A quiet gesture, almost symbolic, on the day his mentor, Giovanni Gaglione, passed away. Gaglione, a former Serie A coach himself, always took pride in Allegri, calling him one of his smartest pupils. And on this emotional day, with Gaglione's death, Allegri's Milan delivered a tactical performance that would have made the maestro proud. Milan defeated Gasperini's Roma, another of Gaglione's students, and in doing so joined Inter in second place, now just 1 point behind Antonio Conte's Napoli at the top. A victory achieved through hard discipline and the kind of furia agonistica, the agonistic fury that Roma simply couldn't match at San Siro. It was Milan's 4th win in the last 5 games at San Siro. Who'd have thought that, no? After losing their home opener against Cremonese. Since that match, they have collected 13 of the next 15 points. And what is more impressive is that they did this without dominating possession. Because Allegri didn't mind letting Roma have the ball in the first half. His plan was clear: stay compact, wait for the right positive transition, counter-attack, and strike through Rafael Leao. And that's exactly how it happened. Leao sprinting down the wing, squaring for Pavlovic, and 1-0. Classic Allegri. In fact, now I want to speak about Allegri's blueprint, his low block, his perfect timing of capitalizing on the great opportunities. In the first half, Milan barely touched the ball. In fact, Roma had 71% possession by the 15th minute. 71% possession by the 15th minute and 3 shots on target. Milan had none. They had barely touched the ball in Roma's defensive third. But you know, Allegri is not one to panic, and this was his script. He set his team in a low block, meaning they were defending very deep. Asked Modric to dictate play from deep, and waited. In fact, whenever Maignan or one of the centre backs had the ball, often Modric was in close proximity to receive the ball, and from then onwards he dictates proceedings. Cristante of Roma was pressing high on Modric, while the rest of Roma's midfield jumped on their men early. And the problem for Milan, they had no outlet. Meaning, Jimenez, their physical forward who usually helps the team push up, was missing. And his replacement, Nkunku, struggled to do this sort of task. He didn't press, didn't stretch the defense, and didn't offer a passing lane. He was a little bit invincible, at least. Invisible, sorry. If only he was invincible for Milan fans. He was invisible, at least off the ball. Because I did like some of his stuff on the ball. Obviously he's a technical player, so he can create some interesting scenarios for Milan going forward. Nonetheless, despite all this, Allegri stayed calm. He knew Roma's control was sterile, and Gasperini's side could keep the ball, yes, but lacked the bite to turn the dominance into danger. And so it happened. The law of football. Gol fallito, gol subito. And all Roma's missed chances came back to haunt them. Minute 39. Roma in full attack, lose possession, and Milan strike like lightning, and it was impressive. Ricci with a vertical ball to Leao. Leao burst into space, and Pavlovic, who came with a second run into the box and was completely unmarked, finishes 1-0. Milan, San Siro explodes, and this was the moment Allegri had been waiting for, and he was waiting for this moment, and he didn't really celebrate. He was like, okay, I approve this opportunity, I approve this goal, this is what we worked for, well done, on to the next. Now I want to talk obviously a bit about Roma's frustration, the possession without purpose, because tactically they did so much right, especially in the first half, until it came to the final third. Roma advanced. Both Gianluca Mancini and Mario Hermoso were two of the three centre-backs to create numerical superiority in midfield. They occupied the right zones, pressed well, and even opened Milan's shape early on, but once again there was no killer instinct. Cristante played as an advanced midfielder, as we mentioned before, and was also pressing Modric in the press against Milan's build-up, and was playing just behind Sule and Dybala. They moved, they linked up, but the magic was missing. El Ainaoui had the first timid shot on target in the 7th minute, and then the two golden chances now. Sule's cross for Ndika, who had that header just wide, and obviously then Dybala completely free in the box and missed. And this is becoming a pattern. Roma play beautiful football but do not finish. And as one Italian journalist put it, Roma knows how to play but not how to shoot. And in football, if you don't shoot, you cannot score. Even Dybala's missed penalty later in the game summed up Roma's match perfectly. Gasperini has built a strong identity to this Roma team and a strong mentality as well. But the goals are not coming. And obviously they do not come from the tactics alone. You need the inspiration in the final third. This match also had some interesting referee decisions and key incidents, and usually I do not go into depth about this, but I wanted to mention a couple of things as well, just for the sake of law of the game. So there was no penalty for Dybala's fall in the box under the Winters challenge. It was a correct call. It was in the first half. And there was also no penalty either for Kone's light tag on Nkunku. But the penalty that was given for Paulo Dybala, that was absolutely the right decision. It came from a free kick. Pellegrini shoots, Fofana's leg is dangerously high, and the yellow card deserved. And then on the retake, the ball, and then on the free kick, the ball hits Fofana's arm, which was clearly extended, making his body bigger. And that is obviously a penalty. Fair. There was no yellow card in this situation because it wasn't clear whether the ball was going into the net, and there were plenty of obstructions to the ball to hit the back of the net. So unlike before, where a foul which leads to a penalty automatically triggers an automatic yellow card, in this case the law has changed and it was a correct call. The foul, but there was no yellow card. Correct call. And so basically means the referee had control of the match, although in some instances late in the game there was some fire between Selemakers and Mancini, but it's all part of the game. Obviously now voglio spezzare una lancia in favore di Rafael Leao. Let's break a lance in his favor, as the Italians say. So once again, Leao was the light of San Siro. He may not have scored, but his assist to Pavlovic was decisive. A flash of brilliance down the left wing, cutting through Roma's defense. And he's playing through pain too. The problem that has forced him against Atalanta, you could see him stretching on the pitch and wincing at times, but he pushed through. And by the end, when Allegri tapped him off, the coach hugged him tight and embraced it, said, "Thank you very much for your match today. Thank you very much for your performance, for your attitude." And here's a remarkable stat with that assist. Now Leao joins Dybala and Lautaro Martinez as the only three players to have both scored and assisted in each of the last 7 Serie A seasons starting from the 2019 and 2020 season. Consistency, class and character, and that is Rafael Leao. So, my final thoughts, what does this all mean for the Serie A title race? Obviously this win keeps Milan, or should we say Allegri's Milan, right in the Scudetto conversation. Now I want to pose this question: is this another sign that Il Corto Muso, the short-nosed philosophy, can truly challenge for the title again? Maybe, and I want to hear your answers as well. For Roma though, I believe it's a missed opportunity, a chance to make a bold statement in this year's title race, wasted through inefficiency in front of goal. The season, however, is still wide open. Napoli, Inter, Milan, all within a single point, and the other clubs in behind, Juventus now under Luciano Spalletti, and who knows, maybe a possible dark horse, no, just a couple of teams, Fabregas Como, Italianos Bologna, who knows. But with Allegri rediscovering his old pragmatism, we might have just another classic Serie A battle on our hands. That's all for this week's Tactical Imperivm. My name is Gianluca Lia, thank you for tuning in, and obviously do not forget to follow Serie A Spotlight on all social media. Until then, alla prossima!